In this video, I'm going to be talking about something from Pinecone, which is a high-tech company in the artificial intelligence space. And they've created a new product that's open source. It's free. It's called Canopy. And I'm going to be talking through some of the articles that I found about it and showing a little bit about the source code and where it's at, and also how you can get up and running quickly. And I will be making another video where I set it up myself, but this video is more just an introduction to the concepts. They have some really great information about the AI space and building chatbots and search applications, and how Pinecone can be used to help speed up your work, to help you build applications faster, and to save you a lot of time and effort. If you have watched some of my other videos, you will have seen where I talked about Pinecone and how I used it to build a chatbot program. So I hope you find this video useful, and if you've never heard about this, I will also include the links to the articles that I will be reading through and taking a look at in the video description. Thanks for stopping by, and let's go ahead and jump in. Good morning, afternoon, evening. I'm going to make a new video today about an announcement from Pinecone. They provide long-term memory for AI. Now, I've talked about Pinecone and showed how I've used it in making a chatbot program. So if you watch some of my other videos, you can find out and see how I used it more specifically. But this is a pretty important announcement that they've made, and I wanted to walk through some of the pages and information that they're talking about. They also have a new GitHub repo, and in a follow-up video, I want to go ahead and get the solution up and running in a virtual machine. So let's take a look here on their home page. They have an announcement right at the top. Introducing Canopy, a new RAG framework powered by Pinecone. Learn more. So let's go ahead and open that up. And here we can see introducing Canopy. This was on November 8th, so just a few days ago. An easy, free, and flexible RAG framework powered by Pinecone. So they're launching with version, it's now 0.1.2. It allows developers to quickly and easily build GenAI applications using the Retrieval Augmented Generation, or RAG. Canopy is an open source framework and context engine built on top of the Pinecone vector database, so you can build and host your own product or production ready chat assistant at any scale. If we go back to their main page just for a moment and scroll down, we can see some of the big companies that are using it. And here they mention you can start, scale, and sit back. Create an account, and you can get some free usage of the Pinecone solution in your free account. And here they explain how Pinecone is fully managed. You can launch, use, and scale your AI solution without needing to maintain infrastructure, monitor services, or troubleshoot algorithms. Choose your provider and region, and they'll handle the rest. Fast, relevant results, speed through data in milliseconds, leverage metadata filters, and sparse, dense index support for top-notch relevance, ensuring quick and accurate results across diverse search tasks. Predictable costs, start for free on the starter plan, which I did show in some of my other videos, and seamlessly scale usage with transparent resource-based pricing. Easily view and monitor usage within the console. Then they have lots of information on their site about building search apps and building chatbots with generative AI, and information about customers that are using it. And there's a little interesting diagram there. Takes your raw data, your AI model, and brings it together with Pinecone, where you can store, search, and manage your embeddings, and then build your search or generative AI apps on top of it, which in my other videos, I show how I'm using the Pinecone and some other cloud-based services. That's just a quick overview of Pinecone, but back to the Canopy, here is some information about it from their GitHub page. Canopy is an open source retrieval augmented generation framework and context engine built on top of the Pinecone vector database. Canopy enables you to quickly and easily experiment with and build applications using RAG. Start chatting with your documents or text data with a few simple commands. Canopy takes on the heavy lifting for building RAG applications, from chunking and embedding your text data to chat history management, query optimization, context retrieval, including prompt engineering and augmented generation. Canopy provides a configurable built-in server so you can effortlessly deploy a RAG-powered chat application to your existing chat UI or interface, or you can build your own custom RAG application using the Canopy library. Canopy lets you evaluate your RAG workflow with a CLI-based chat tool. With a simple command in the Canopy CLI, you can interactively chat with your text data and compare RAG versus non-RAG workflows side by side. And that is what I want to set up and show in another video in the near future. I have a blog post which I'm going to look at also, and a tutorial. Canopy implements the full RAG workflow to prevent hallucinations and augment your LLM with your own text data. So you can see in the chart the LLM, the embedding model, your Pinecone database, your knowledge base and context engine, and how you have your chatbot application there with questions and a knowledgeable answer from Pinecone, and then ask follow-up questions, and also the user uploading documents into the system. And that's quite similar to my chatbot application that I've shown in other videos. Canopy has two workflows: knowledge base creation and chat. In the knowledge base creation flow, users upload their documents and transform them into meaningful representations stored in Pinecone's vector database. In the chat flow, incoming queries and chat history are optimized to retrieve the most relevant documents. The knowledge base is queried and a meaningful context is generated for the LLM to answer. Here we can see what's inside of the box of tools from Canopy and Pinecone. The chat engine exposes a chat interface to interact with your data. The context engine performs the retrieval part of RAG. And the knowledge base manages your data for the RAG workflow. It automatically chunks and transforms your data or text data into text embeddings, storing them in a Pinecone vector database. Given a text query, the knowledge base will retrieve the most relevant document chunks from the database. Then they have a Canopy server, which is a web service that wraps the Canopy core library and exposes it as a REST API. The server also comes with a built-in Swagger UI for easy testing and documentation, and the Canopy CLI, a built-in development tool that allows you to swiftly set up your own Canopy server and test its configuration. And then they go on to say here, with just 3 CLI commands, you can create a new Canopy server, upload your documents to it, and then interact with the chatbot using a built-in chat application directly from the terminal. The built-in chatbot also enables comparison of RAG-infused responses against a native LLM chatbot. So there you can see the setup and commands, and I will be going through those in more detail in another video as soon as I have time. They have a quick start, going through the different steps, creating a new Canopy index with a command Canopy new, uploading your data. So here you can see they have different options as far as loading data into your Canopy index using the Canopy upsert command, And this is important. The Canopy supports files in these 3 different formats as they listed there. And they do have a notebook that shows you how to create a data set in this format. You can also load plain text data files in text format. In this case, each file will be treated as a single document. The document ID will be the file name. The source will be the full path of the file. Then they go on in step 3 to show you how to start the Canopy server with the command canopy start. And then you can begin using the server. Here they say that's it. You can now start using the Canopy server with any chat application that supports a chat.completion endpoint. A couple other things worth pointing out here is the considerations. Canopy currently only supports OpenAI as the backend for both the embedding model and the LLM. Rate limits and pricing are set by OpenAI. And since I do have an account with OpenAI, I've used it in my other videos about the chatbot React application. So I would just use it here also. Then they talk about migrating an existing OpenAI application to Canopy and running Canopy server in production. So there's a lot of interesting things here to try out, but I wanted to point this out in case you've never heard of this piece of technology and maybe you want to give it a try also. I'll move on to a couple other articles here from Pinecone and some important information I wanted to point out. I will zoom in on this a little bit more also. So right here, they're talking about like restrictions on the free account. Canopy uses the Pinecone vector database for storage and retrieval, which is free for up to 100,000 vectors. So that's around 15 million words or 30,000 pages of text. And of course, it can scale to billions of embeddings on the paid plans. They go on to say here, with many components to manage, the LLM, the embedding model, vector database, and more, and levers to pull, chunk size, index configuration, implementing a RAG workflow from scratch can be resource and time intensive and is often hard to evaluate. And without a certain level of AI expertise, you can get bogged down by trial and error that comes with designing and building a reliable, highly effective RAG pipeline. So with Canopy, you can get a production-ready, RAG-powered application up and running in under an hour. So that's a pretty amazing statement. And because it's built and backed by Pinecone, you get the same great developer experience and performance of their fully managed vector database. So here's a little bit more information about developers wanting to get started and experiment with RAG. Canopy provides a solution that is free, which is great. Store up to 100,000 embeddings in Pinecone for free. Again, that's 15 million words, 30,000 pages of documents. Free options for LLMs and embedding models are coming soon, so we have to keep an eye open for that. Easy to implement. Bring your text data in plain text, TXT, or these other formats. PDF file support is coming soon, which is pretty exciting. And then Canopy will handle the rest. It's currently only compatible with any OpenAI LLM, including GPT-4 Turbo, which is the newest one, with support for additional LLMs and embedding models, including popular open source models from Anyscale Endpoints coming soon. So I know that there will be a lot of new announcements and development happening here in this space. And of course, if you wanted to scale it up, Pinecone has your back. It's reliable at scale, builds fast, accurate, and reliable GenAI applications that are production ready and backed by the Pinecone's vector database. You can choose to run Canopy as a web service or application via a simple REST API, or use the Canopy library to build your own custom application. Easily add Canopy to your existing OpenAI application by replacing the chat completions API with Canopy server's endpoint. So here we have the chart that we saw in the GitHub repo with a good explanation. The knowledge base prepares your data for the RAG workflow. It automatically chunks and transforms your text data into embeddings before upserting them into the Pinecone vector database. The context engine performs the retrieval part of RAG. It finds the most relevant documents from Pinecone via the knowledge base and structures them as context to be used as an LLM prompt. And then the Canopy chat engine implements the full RAG workflow. It understands your chat history and identifies multi-part questions, generates multiple relevant queries from one prompt, and transforms those queries into embeddings. It then uses the context generated for the LLM via the context engine to present a highly relevant response to the end user. So that's pretty amazing, and all this is because of the free Canopy software that has been released. It's available for anyone looking to build and experiment with RAG. For Pinecone users, existing indexes are currently not compatible with Canopy, so you'll need to create a new index using Canopy to get started. And finally, they go on to say future versions of Canopy will support more data formats, new LLMs and embedding models, and more. So there you go. That's an overview of this, I think, amazing piece of software that I think will really grow and expand a lot in the near future. They have another article here. It's from like their learning library. It goes into a lot more detail and explains about retrieval augmented generation. So what do they say in this article? Products built on top of LLMs such as OpenAI's ChatGPT and Anthropic's Claude are brilliant, yet flawed. Powerful as they are, current LLMs suffer from several drawbacks. They're static, frozen in time, they lack domain-specific knowledge. LLMs are trained for generalized tasks, meaning they do not know your company's private data. They function as black boxes. It's not easy to understand which sources an LLM was considering when they arrived at their conclusions. They are inefficient and costly to produce. Few organizations have the financial and human resources to produce and deploy foundation models. Unfortunately, these issues affect the accuracy of GenAI applications in leveraging LLMs. For any business application with requirements more demanding than your average chatbot demo, LLMs used out of the box with no modifications aside from prompting will perform poorly at context-dependent tasks such as helping customers book their next flight or whatever the business need is with business-specific information. This post will examine why retrieval augmented generation is the preferred method for addressing these drawbacks, provide a deep dive into how RAG works, and explain why most companies use RAG to boost their Gen AI applications performance. So if that sounds interesting to you, I will include a link to this long article and you can go ahead and read through it. There's a lot of really good information in here, just general information and also really specific information too. RAG provides up-to-date information about the world and domain-specific data to your Gen AI applications. LLMs lack content from private data, leading to hallucinations when asked domain or company-specific questions. That's the second major drawback of current LLMs, is that although their base corpus of knowledge is impressive, they do not know the specifics of your business, your requirements, your customer base, or the context your application is running in, such as your e-commerce store. RAG addresses this second issue by providing extra context and factual information to your Gen AI application's LLM at generation time. Anything from customer records to paragraphs of dialogue in play to product specifications and current stock to audio such as voice or songs. The LLM uses this provided content to generate an informed answer. I think that's a really important aspect of this. RAG allows GenAI to cite its sources and improve auditability. In addition to addressing the recency and domain-specific data issues, RAG also allows GenAI applications to provide their sources, much like research papers will provide citations for where they obtained an essential piece of data used in their findings. And creating your own foundational model. OpenAI's Sam Altman estimated it cost around $100 million to train the foundation model behind ChatGPT. Not every company or model will require such a significant investment, but ChatGPT's price tag underscores that cost is a real challenge in producing sophisticated models with today's techniques. So you have these raw compute costs. Also, you'll face the scarce talent issue. You need specialized teams of machine learning PhDs, top-notch systems engineers, and highly skilled operations folks to tackle the many technical challenges of producing such a model, and every other AI company in the world is angling for the same rare talent. Another challenging issue is obtaining, sanitizing, and labeling the datasets required to produce a capable foundation model. For example, suppose you're a legal discovery company considering training your model to answer questions about legal documents. In that case, you'll also need legal experts to spend many hours labeling training data. Even if you have access to sufficient capital, can assemble the right team, obtain and label adequate datasets, and overcome the many technical hurdles to hosting your model in production, there's no guarantee of success. The industry has seen several ambitious AI startups come and go, and we expect to see more failures in the future. Fine-tuning, adapting a foundation model to your domain's data. Fine-tuning is the process of retraining a foundation model on new data. It can certainly be cheaper than building a foundation model from scratch. Still, this approach suffers from many of the same downsides of creating a foundation model. You need rare and deep expertise and sufficient data, and the costs and technical complexity of hosting your model in production don't go away. Fine-tuning is not a practical approach now that LLMs are pairable with vector databases for context retrieval. Some LLM providers, such as OpenAI, no longer support fine-tuning for their latest generation models. And there's several other outstanding issues that are listed. Then they get into the deeper dive into RAG, Retrieval Augmented Generation, and how it works. I just wanted to cover some of the more important high-level issues surrounding this. And if you're interested, definitely check out the link and you can read the rest of this article. And so I have one other article, looks like I opened here. OpenAI Assistant API versus Canopy, a quick comparison. So I thought this was pretty interesting, and this must have been written pretty recently since Canopy is very new. So here they did a comparison. They ran several tests to compare two frameworks using a realistic real-world data set containing 423 old and new archive papers about LLMs and machine learning. And they said this is only a quick comparison to help us make sense of these brand new frameworks. Over time, they'll continue testing and sharing their findings and welcome contributions from the community. So the findings were the Assistants API was limited to storing only 20 documents from the dataset. Canopy could store all 423 documents with room for another 777 before reaching the limit of Pinecone's free plan. The Assistants API couldn't answer a question that required retrieving context from multiple documents. However, Canopy could search across the entire dataset and therefore was able to answer the question. The Assistants API hallucinated on a question related to one of the stored documents, but Canopy answered the same question correctly. And the response latency of Canopy was 21% lower. That is faster than that of the Assistants API. So then they go on to explain how they set up their storage capacity. They began with a full data set of 423 documents. By most standards, that's a small data set. For reference, with Canopy, which uses Pinecone as its vector database, you could store up to 100,000 vector embeddings on the free plan. That's around 1,200 similarly sized documents. OpenAI's Assistants API has an official limit of 20 documents, but that didn't stop them from trying to fit the entire data set. So they explain how they tried to do that. Well, yes, this article just goes on and on. It's a lot of really good information. So definitely take a look. If you want to see more details, I'll include the link for this. But I think I'm going to end my video here. I just wanted to bring this new technology to your attention in case you've never heard of it before. It looks really interesting and compelling, and I will be working with getting it up and running, possibly in a couple different scenarios, in another video as soon as possible. I thank you for stopping by and checking this out, and I hope this information helps you or helps you investigate some new technology to help you solve some new or upcoming problems. Have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon.
If you like this channel, please like and subscribe and hit the bell icon to be notified when I post new content.